What's good, everybody? It is your man here, the Todd voice, back with another YouTube video. You know, I never thought I'd find myself agreeing with younger people on this one, but I think they have a point. You know, I've been watching videos where younger people are asking, why are so many older people acting like they're determined to still be teenagers? And I think it's a bad look, honestly. You know, before anybody gets offended, hear me out. I'm not saying stop living, and I'm not saying stop dressing nice, stop traveling, stop dancing and having fun. But what I am saying is that at some point, you have to embrace being grown. You know, everybody wants to be young forever. Everybody wants to be the cool aunt, uncle, grandpa. But who's trying to be the wise one? Who's trying to be the example? You know, I believe every generation owes the next generation something. Young people need to see what maturity looks like. They need to see people who carry themselves with dignity and who make good decisions, who understands that not every trend needs to be followed and not every camera needs to be turned on. Instead, too many adults are competing with kids, trying to dress like them, talk like them, get attention like them the same way they do, you know. And I think that's exactly what some of these young people are reacting to. They're not saying older people shouldn't enjoy life. They're saying, why are the adults trying so hard to be us? And I think that's a fair question. Getting older should come with something. It should come with wisdom, confidence, and self-respect. Not because you're trying to prove that you're still young, but because you have finally become comfortable with who you are. The goal was to become the kind of man that a 25-year-old me would respect. You know, we've reached a point where people are terrified to look their age. I'm not. I'm proud to be where I'm at. I don't even dye my beard, and I'm not that old. Because every gray hair, every lesson, every setback, every success earned the right to be the grown man that I am today. And I think the world needs more adults who are willing to be adults. Not because growing up is boring, but because somebody has to show the next generation what it actually looks like. And, you know, I don't think what happened was an accident. I think pop culture changed, has always changed the way we see adulthood. When I was coming up, growing up was something you look forward to. The grown folks weren't trying to be us, and we weren't trying to be them. There was a line between generations. Kids look like kids, and adults look like adults. Pop culture slowly convinced us that getting older was something to avoid. When I was growing up, adults didn't spend their lives trying to look like us. There was a respect that came with age. The older men weren't trying to fit in with teenagers, and the older women weren't trying to chase every trend that came along. You know, they had confidence because they had experience. Today, I feel like the goal has changed. We're told to stay young forever. Stay young forever. You know, every commercial says, erase your wrinkles. Social media awards whoever gets the most attention, not the person with the most wisdom. And after hearing some of the young people talk, I have to admit, I think they have a point. They're asking, why are grown people trying so hard to be us? And that's a fair question. Let's be clear, though. I'm not saying life ends at 50. You go on vacation, you laugh, dance, you take care of yourself, fall in love, do all of that. But there's a difference between enjoying life and refusing to grow into the person you're supposed to become. I believe every generation has responsibility to the next generation. They need to see adults who know who they are without needing approval from strangers. People who understood that character will outlast popularity. Because if every generation is trying to say 25, who's going to teach the 25-year-olds what 50 is supposed to look like? You know, growing old should come with wisdom. It should come with confidence, dignity, not because you've given up on life, but because you've earned something that youth doesn't have. You know, not looking 25 at 60, but carrying 60 with so much confidence that they wish they weren't 25.
One thing I can't stand is an older man that act like a young boy. Honey, at 50 years old, and when I'm sitting up with you, I don't want to hear nothing about you lit and trying to get turned up. I don't want to hear nothing coming out of your mouth that sound like some a 20-year-old was saying you 50. Like, that was the whole purpose and point of talking to an older man, dealing with an older man. I choose season because I prefer season. But when I'm with you, you saying stuff the young dudes say. You using slang and terminology and trying to act like them. I don't want that. Give me Big Daddy. Don't give me Little Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, baby, some of y'all older men, y'all trying to keep up with the younger men. Don't keep up with the younger men. Just remain a fox. Honey, remain a fox. Sexy cool daddy. That's all we need. All that other stuff, let them young boys have it.
Our culture switched. And like when I was growing up, I used to want to be like Felicia Rashad. Like I remember Maya Angelou, she told me she was proud of me for what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, like that was a big deal to me, right? Because I looked up to women that were older. But at this point, older women want to be younger.
Yep.
Right. So you have 40-year-old women and 46-year-old women trying to look like and act like the 23-year-old. Then how do you know? Because when you're young, you don't think there's consequences, right?
Yeah.
The only way you know there's consequences is someone, like you said, the OG pulls you to the side and is like, look. So I feel like the problem is in our culture specifically, like we don't value experience and age. Like I look to those women for what I want it to be. But there's nobody like that now. Like now, I mean, there are some, there's some amazing, but really the culture is chasing youth. So it's like backwards. The older women want to be young. That's the only thing. Like, there are women, and this is no disrespect, but no women in their 60s getting BBLs. Like,
that's crazy.
What is happening? What are we doing? So how can a woman who's 23 trust your leadership if you're trying to look like her? Felicia Rashad wasn't trying to look like, I was trying to be like her. But if she was on the stage with, her butt out and trying to look like me, then I wouldn't have respected her.
That's why you see some 30, 40, 50-year-olds, you be like, they act like teenagers because they have a low teachability index and couldn't nobody tell them nothing. So therefore, they're going to be like that forever. And if you are a man trying to grow in your life, you need somebody who's willing to grow and evolve with you. Otherwise, it's going to be so much discord and you're going to slow your own progress. If I got to drag this dead weight that's not even picking up the pace on its own because they're learning in the teachings that I'm telling them, then guess what? It's going to slow my growth. Because I'm at the head of this. I'm leading this shit.
Old people trying to act young need to be stopped because they are not fooling anyone. And I would know because I actually met an old person trying to act young this past weekend and it was quite the experience. So Friday night, I made a rare appearance at the club and I went with a little group and we were just minding our own business, dancing in the corner of the club when this random dude comes up to us. Right off the bat, this dude looks like a silver fox. Like think George Clooney. So you could say I was surprised when the first thing I hear from him is your outfits are all on fleek, referring to my group. Now I'm thinking to myself, I haven't heard that word in years, but nonetheless, we were all just like, thank you, person. This 50-something-year-old man goes on to be like, can I get you Rizzlers, something to drink? In my head, I was like, Rizzlers? Who says that? But my group and I could not turn down a free drink, so we were just like, sure. So there we are, just following this 50-something-year-old dude through the crowd to the bar. Eventually, we get to the bar, and this dude is just like, I'm gonna get you guys this new drink. It is so good. And we were all just like, okay. Tell me why this dude brings us over White Claws as if it's some new drink that we've never had before. It felt like he was trying to prove to us that he was young. Fast forward, we go back into the crowd to dance and this dude comes with us. So now we just have a 50-year-old in our group. It was so funny because we were dancing to like Ice Spice and he starts doing this mobster jig where he's snapping his finger. A couple moments later, this dude shouts to us, I want you guys to guess my age. Now in my head, he looked 50, but I didn't want to be offensive. So I was like, 40. In the cockiest way, he was just like, believe it or not, I'm actually 50. And we were all just like, yeah, that checks out. Eventually, my friends and I were ready to leave. So we started heading towards the door and the dude catches up with us and he's just like, leaving so soon? We were like, yeah, we're tired. He goes on to be like, well, I'm staying here if anyone wants to match my freak. Again, who says that? We tell him like, no, it's okay. And he was just like, each their own. I think I'm gonna catch a baddie tonight. After he said that, I was thinking, please don't. Most of this club is 21. And then we left. But thinking back, like that is so creepy. If you're old, just act your age.
Hey, don't listen to no old remind you of a young. Any old be outside, I'm talking about late 40s. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to have a family, a wife, settle down, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to be waking up early, cutting the grass, starting projects, building stuff, laying concrete, just, you know what I'm saying? Building fences, just, old dude stuff. But if he one of these young niggas like to be outside, skinny jeans, trying to dress like the young, don't listen to him. He has no good advice for you. He still be like woman and woman, like out here trying to be a player. Don't listen to him. That is not the you want to be. That is not who you want to copy out of. Copy after. That man goes home alone. And even when he don't go home alone, he's still not happy. That is a terrible life to live, brother.
Creepy habit that a lot of men over 50 have, and how to stop it. In my opinion, the biggest habit that men over 50 generally have is obsessing over whether or not they still look young. And I see this all the time. Older men constantly fishing for compliments about how they look. Whether it's sending throwback photos or making "I still got it" jokes, or just asking if he looks younger than his age. This habit screams insecurity. It shifts the vibe from "I'm a confident man" to "I'm a man who's scared of aging," which can very quickly turn very creepy in my eyes. So, my advice for all the older gentlemen out there: stop trying to prove that you're still young and start owning the fact that you're experienced. Stop chasing validation and lean into maturity. The men that age the best are the ones that are confident in their own skin. You can trust me on this one.
Tamar Braxton is 47 years old. Now, she looks good for 47. But she is the definition, and this behavior is, I just don't want to embrace that I'm 47 years old. You're on stage. Number one, if you go back and watch the clip, she's doing all this with the skirt on, legs wide open. That's my number one issue. But the whole thing is just like, what are you doing? Like, black woman, beautiful black woman, why? Even just all of that, you're singing a song, a very beautiful song. And it's just, again, over-sexualized. I hate that we have to find ways to spin everything around, to fit some narrative, to still look hip and cool. And even the older women, 47 years old, are out here trying to act and conduct themselves like 18, 19, 20-year-old girls. And then again, this is why I say this. We need positive influences for our young black girls. We need that. Because this can't be it. This type of behavior on stage, and you can say, oh, she's an entertainer. It doesn't change. It doesn't change because you're an entertainer that you do that. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but we need positive role models amongst black women. We do.
You can high-key tell who never got attention or validation growing up, because when they become grown adults, they still act like they're in high school. It's like the most cringy thing ever. Like they literally live their life like they're trying to relive this fantasy of being a cool kid in high school, and it's like, you look so like we're adults. Like, please grow the fuck up.